Welcome everyone. We're going to have an authentic Swedish Fika, which means a coffee break here in Sweden. I'll explain why my coffee cup is currently empty. Right now we're having an assortment of different treats from a place that I already love in New York called Fabrik. They only have one store in New York City as far as I know, but they are a popular chain here in Stockholm. And it is very beautiful. It's towards the end of the day, so there's not that many people having coffee at this moment. Some other places do get packed around this time at 5 p.m. And here we're starting to see the bakery. This closes a bit earlier than the rest of them, and you can see me right there. There are some savory items, but sold out this time, and a large assortment of breads and also pastries. But we're gonna have this. They're famous for their Cardamom Bun. That's what they're very famous for. I haven't tried this cookie. Seems interesting. I've seen a few of these stuffed with raspberry. Very interesting. And a little tiny brownie with what appears to be some type of dried fruits. Maybe raspberries, it seems, and what appears to maybe be blueberries. I can't quite tell. And then why is my coffee cup empty? So right now we're having a Swedish Fika. Fika is basically translates immediately to coffee, but in essence it means more than just coffee. It's a coffee break, but it's different from an American coffee break. An American coffee break is kind of more quick and fast. You kind of in the office or standing around, kind of enjoying the cup of coffee with a few coworkers, and you just have a quick chat, maybe 10 minutes. Then when it comes to here to Sweden, it's more like a ritual. You sit down, enjoy a nice cup of coffee, one or two or three cup of coffee. You socialize with whoever you're working with, or a family member, or a friend, a significant other. It's the one opportunity to really socialize. Now, it's very interesting because the Swedish culture, it's not, from what strikes me, it's not the most social culture as you would say in Ireland, or as you would say parts of America. There's an emphasis on socializing. Here, it's kind of quite emphasis on socializing, especially with strangers that you don't know. So the fika is like the socializing of beautiful Sweden. So let's try it out. But why is the coffee cup empty? Well, this is what surprised me in Helsinki. Helsinki actually has a similar coffee culture to Sweden. You serve your own coffee. You don't get it from up there unless if you order an espresso drink. You end up actually serving your own coffee. Peggy says there's no music here. There is music, but it is pretty low. I'm not sure what is the difference between here. It says Kallet Vanten, which I think is water. Yeah, there's water. There's milk here, and then here's the coffee. So this might be similar to the American coffee break. And look at that. And I think it's unlimited. I don't know 100% for sure. I'm assuming it's unlimited. So there it is. Beautiful coffee. No milk or sugar on mine. I do need some napkins. So there we go. We have our coffee. This is drip coffee. If you're American, you're very familiar with this. Drip coffee, basically was standard in America. There's one difference though. Let's see how this one tastes. So usually I won't have drip. Usually I will order an Americano, but judging by how ubiquitous drip coffee is and by the price that you end up, buying once and you can just, it seems like you can get a refill. Not sure. I'll ask. But I'm going to try the Swedish way, so let's try it out. Cheers. Ooh, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. It tastes like a good American drip coffee. Yeah, it's pretty good quality. I like it. It's nice and warm. That's a good thing. It's beautifully warm. It's hard to discern the notes. It's not the most flavorful coffee, but it does taste good. It's more like melon. That's what I'm getting. Cantaloupe. Those are the notes I'm getting. Cantaloupe. All right, let's try the. It says it's chocolatey. No, this is not Italian style coffee. It's pretty light and pretty bright. It tastes more like old school American coffee done well. It has that kind of flavor. It doesn't taste like the more kind of modern coffee shops. That it will taste a lot lighter, a lot more flavorful if you would have it pour over from a modern coffee shop. There's a good classic taste to this. The Cardamom Bun. This is one of the more famous pastries in Sweden. You'll find a lot of these buns all around the world, all around here in this country. Buns everywhere. So let's try this bun. Oh wow. Oh, that is cardamorific. So much cardamom here. Really heavy on the cardamom. Cardamom is a bit more expensive than other spices. I love the the crystallized sugar on top adds a little bit of crunch. It is super soft, so this might be dunk worthy. Let's try it out. So let's see if it's dunk worthy. Oh yeah. Oh. So someone in the comments when I had cardamom a little bit earlier in a different broadcast in Copenhagen, they said that cardamom is like what if cinnamon and ginger had a baby. I think that describes it perfectly. It is perfectly dunk worthy. It absorbs the coffee just perfectly. Look at that. Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Joanne says, can I have a bite? Wendy says, I'm giggling. I'm so glad you are. Wendy, thank you so much. Welcome to the broadcast. Cherry says, welcome here to Stockholm. My pleasure, Cherry. Ella says, I'm eating oatmeal. I want a pastry. Good morning, Jermaine from Trinidad and Tobago. That's awesome to see you here. All the way from Stockholm, halfway around the world. Charlene says, I had a Fika once in New Hampshire. Ooh, cool. There's a Swedish bakery up there. Just tuned in. Where are you in the world, says Sarah? We are in Stockholm right now. We're close to the city center. We are in a chain called Fabrik. So right at the city center, right here. Ginny says, you know in the UK we call these Danish pastries. Oh, that's interesting. The other Wendy is tuning in and says, I'm hungry, not helping. It's a really good coffee, actually. I'm surprised. All right, next up is this cake thingy. Cake? Cookie? I'm not sure what it is. But it appears to have raspberry in the middle. Let's try it out. Ooh, it's like a tart. It's like a raspberry tart. Veronica, thank you so much for tuning in. The background looks like a Swedish prison. Well, it's like tiles from the bakery. I think that's the look that they're aiming for. All right, let's try this out. Oh, wow. Mmm, super crumbly. It is has a very very grainy texture to it. It is like a shortbread crust. It's a very very flaky, very grainy tart with raspberry in the middle. It tastes like a very soft cookie. If you were to have one of those classic New York City cookies, it tastes like that. Super soft cookie. Mm. This might not be dunk worthy. I think this would utterly collapse in the coffee if we were to dip it in. Ron says, is it heavy? No, super light actually. Not too sweet. So this and the bun, not too sweet, which is good. In America, as I mentioned many times, over and over again, usually these pastries would be double the sweetness from what I'm having right now. So if you are used to American sweets, if you never visited Europe ever in your life, and you're a fan of pastries in the U.S., when you come to Europe, including here in Stockholm and the other places we visited, the UK, Copenhagen, Paris, you'll probably be shocked at first. You'll be shocked that there's not that much sugar in them. And to some people, and I've noticed this with family members, they immediately think that the pastries aren't good because of the lack of sweetness. They think they're pretty bland, at least initially. But that's because sugar kind of clouds your tastes, your palate, so you don't taste the finer notes of the spices or the fruits used in pastries. So that's why it might be a little bit of a shock if you haven't traveled outside the US and haven't tried pastries. If you're in New York City, maybe a little bit more used to this type of pastry. Susie says, yeah, it would shock me too. Yeah, that same thing applies to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico tends to make its pastries super sweet. So I've had a lot of Puerto Rican family members come to Europe and say, oh, these are rather bland. It's because they're not covering them in sugar. Now, Copenhagen was interesting. Copenhagen just made them super buttery. This one is not as buttery as the Copenhagen pastries I tried, which is good. Hey, Irene, welcome to the live video. Michelle, nice to see you here. That pastry would be my favorite. I'm so glad. Try biting it, then drink the coffee, says Raul. Yeah, it's a good combination. I'm going to ask if I can get free refills. Oh, let's try the... Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. Pardon, this is my...
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. This is my first day in Sweden. Is it unlimited coffee?
No.
I can get more? Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yes, it is confirmed. You can get unlimited refills. This is dangerous, my friends. The only time I've experienced coffee overdose was in Helsinki, because the first time I've encountered a coffee culture that's not an American diner, because American diners do this too, but that is not an American diner, was in Helsinki, where you can get as much coffee as you want to in a place like this. And I got very zealous, and I started drinking all the coffees. And I thought to myself, all right, Helsinki, like the rest of the Nordic countries, pretty expensive. So I thought to myself, let's save some money and drink at least 3 or 4 cups per coffee shop or pastry shop I visit. I ended up drinking for a few days in a row about 7 cups of coffee. For example, in Helsinki, in Finland in general, it is the most coffee drinking society in the world. They drink about 4 cups daily on average. Sweden should not be far behind. It's probably in the top 3 of most coffee drunk in the world here in Sweden. And what ended up happening is I ended up my last day in Helsinki, I got super dizzy. I was getting the spins. I was super dizzy. I was not sleeping too well. I felt very exhausted, super exhausted. I wasn't sick. It wasn't like a cold or a flu. It was a coffee overdose. Because what happens if you have too much coffee, overworks your adrenaline gland, and that gland, when it gets too overworked, you end up feeling exhausted, and you can get dizzy. So this is dangerous. This is already my 4th coffee of the day because I just had 2 here and 2 for breakfast. I actually had another one. Oh my god, this is my 5th coffee of the day. Oh no. Oh no, my 5th coffee of the day. This does not exist in the US. Diners, yes, you can get unlimited coffee, but A, they're kind of disappearing. B, usually they're served to you. So it's not like I can keep on going. I would have to hail down the waitress in order to keep getting coffee if I were in the diner. Oh no. 5th coffee of the day. Kay says you should have a flask and fill it up before you leave the shop. Yeah. So this cost me 120 krona. Not too bad. Let me see how much it was. $116 Swedish krona. 116 Swedish crowns, krona. And that is Swedish is a little bit less than Copenhagen, than Danish crowns. So it's about 10. So this was about $12, 12 to $14 is the price for these 3 pastries and unlimited coffee. Ron says you miss octopus in Santorini. I do miss Santorini, that's for sure. Octopus, yeah, as well. These guys are also famous for their tuna melts, or they make really good tuna melts. But unfortunately, tuna melts are they're not for summertime. I was surprised to hear that. At least not here. All right, let's try this out. The brownie. Wow. Oh my. It can't be. I might be hallucinating by too much coffee. I think I'm hallucinating, ladies and gentlemen, because this brownie is amazing. It's a really good brownie. I say that because I like the brownie on occasion, but usually in America, they're the sweetest thing you can buy in a coffee shop. They're a sugar bomb in most places in America. That's why I avoid brownies in general. They're just too sweet, and then sometimes too milky too. But this one, ooh, it tastes sweetened by dried fruit. So it might be sweetened by dates or something like that, but it's really good. It is a natural sweetness. You end up getting kind of that dried fruit sweetness, not a sugar sweetness. Wow, it's really good. Good consistency too. So very fudgy. Lid says, is this a special brownie? No, we are not in Amsterdam. We are not there. We're not in Washington State. We're not in Seattle. Susie says, is a fruit brownie? Yeah, there's dried fruit on top. It seems like the rest of the brownie is sweetened with fruit. I can't tell you for sure, but it does taste like that. Here it is. Look at that. Hey Wilmy, nice to see you here. Star says absolutely base Danish makers. No, Fabrik is Swedish. But I wouldn't doubt that there's some type of interchange with baking culture in both countries. Susie says, I've taken a big bite of your chocolate cake. Did you notice? Probably Sweden with dates, says Charlene. Yeah, it tastes like that. It tastes like a good sugar-free brownie. So in New York City, there's a few vegan pastry shops that also do sugar-free. Tastes like that. It's really good. So let's see if it's dunk worthy. Shall we dunk it? I mean, we have all the coffee in the world. So it doesn't matter if there's some spillage into the coffee. It's okay. We just grab another cup. So let me know. Should we test the dunk? Should we dunk it like Michael Jordan on the basketball court? Star says it's 100% dunkable. All right, let's see. Oh, did not fall apart. That's so interesting. It's very fruity when you dunk it. Like the fruit notes come out when it's submerged in coffee. It's almost weird. It's weird. It's like an acquired taste. I think after a few of those, a few dunks, you start really feeling the flavors. I think so. It's like a good joint. After you take a few puffs, then you start seeing the magic. Joint. After a few shots of alcohol, you start feeling the magic. Yeah, there's berries inside, so yeah, there is also fruits inside. So that's my first Swedish Fika, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Susie says, it looks like you could be in the bathroom with all these towels. I think they're trying to emulate like the actual area to bake. Wanda says, LOL. Wilmy, nice to see you here. Eat the brownies, then try coffee. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. It's really good. Wendy says, that looks divine. Liberty says, hello from Denmark. Finally caught you live. Thank you for showing Denmark in such a nice way. I could have easily done one more week in Denmark. Copenhagen was a really beautiful city. I'm sure there was a lot more to Denmark than just Copenhagen. But I initially booked Copenhagen for 2 weeks. However, I started having second thoughts, especially due to my trip in Seattle and Chicago, which I booked. Cities I spend way too much time in, and I started having second thoughts about Copenhagen, so I reduced it to 1 week. And I regret that decision. I should have stayed there for 2 weeks. And I'm not sure about here if it'll be the same. We'll see. Raul says, have you visited Asia? No, not yet. Rosa from Mexico, bienvenidos. Mexico que también tiene panecillos, ¿cómo se dice? Pastelillos, ¿cómo se dice? Pastries en español. Pero ellos tienen buenos dulces allá en Mexico también. So there's beautiful pastries in Mexico too. Wanda says, you have me thinking about traveling the world. I'm so glad, Wanda. I'm so glad. I visited Portland for you. You did not miss anything, says Travelista. Hey, Travelista, nice to see you here. Travelista, have we met in person, or let me know? I'm not sure, because I have a friend that has a similar name. Morgan says, looks quizzically into the mind and says, what I want is Ariel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wendy says, please don't go. All right, so I'll show you my first impressions of Stockholm before I leave all of you. Can we see the ABBA museum? Asked Wendy. That will most likely be a Patreon exclusive. So patreon.com/urbanist for access to the ABBA museum. The reason for that is it'll be filled with music copyrights. There's no way I can really post that video publicly easily. So if that's the case, I'll be a Patreon exclusive. And Rodos says pastries in Bulgaria are called banitsa. Banitsa. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that. That's interesting. And Wendy says, you have me thinking about traveling the world as well. Oh, Wanda, I'm so glad. All right, so first impression of Stockholm is a beautiful city. It has a lot more hustle and bustle. More hustle and bustle I would have expected from a Nordic city. So I visited so far 2 Nordic cities in my life. Copenhagen, which you just saw, and then Helsinki, which if you've been tuning on to Urbanist for the past 6 years, it was that first trip ever I did abroad was Helsinki. Those 2 cities are calm. There's stuff going on. They feel a little bit more lively than the average American city, but they're pretty calm in European standards. This one feels more vibrant. Not as vibrant as a London or a Paris or a Rome, but definitely more vibrant than even some English cities. It feels as vibrant as a Manchester, for example. So I'm really impressed by that. And then second thing is, there's a lot of great fast food here. So I already had a few fast foods, and I'm glad. And then there's these bakeries too. There's easy places to just easily grab a bite, which is awesome. And it seems like here things are open a little bit later than Copenhagen, which is also really good. So those are my first impressions thus far. There seems to be good public transportation. I gotta try it out myself. And there's really interesting history here. That Copenhagen, I had a little bit harder time finding interesting stories. But here, I already have a few that I want to tell you. What time is it here, Raul? So I'm drinking coffee, so it should be 6 p.m. Like 5:30 p.m. Maybe a little bit later. And Susie says we need to think of a Nordic name for you, perhaps Bjorn. we already have a few viewers that are called Bjorn. So I was spotted in Copenhagen once, and it was a Bjorn from Stockholm. So shout out to Bjorn for Stockholm. Thank you so much for saying hello. In Copenhagen, it was the only person who saw me on the street in Copenhagen. I love the look of Copenhagen. It's now on my bucket list, says Rachel. I'm so glad. And this is only about 5 hours and a half train from Copenhagen. No border check in Stockholm. It seems to have been a border check in Malmo because of immigration, I think. But here there was no border control. So it was very easy to travel into Stockholm. The trains were comfortable, very smooth ride. It just took a long time. The trains are not as fast as Italian trains or some British trains, but it was a good ride. And so wonderful to hear you speaking Spanish, Rosa. Oh, mi placer, que bien que te canta en español. Puede ser que tengo que ir otra vez a España. I might need to go to Spain once again, give it a second shot, and use my Spanish skills more. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be going live tomorrow and Saturday at 3 p.m. Western European time. That is 9 a.m. New York City time. You can do the conversions for all the other places. And then there'll be random live videos of museums because I got the keys to the city, like quite literally. Visit Stockholm has given me the keys to the city, so they provided me with free admission to basically all the museums and a whole lot of tourist attractions. So I'm gonna see if I can visit quite a few of them. They're not sponsoring these videos, but they were so kind enough to provide this. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring and have a good Swedish Fika. Oh yeah. Cheers. Wish me luck. Hopefully I go to sleep after this. The sun doesn't set until like midnight, so. a great day. Bye-bye.